Yes, thank you very much. I'm taking over from here. So a lot has been said by the previous presenters and also in the first panel about the need for talent and skills and human capital. So my first question would be actually to Gary, representing Aalto as the dean of the School of Engineering there. So in your view, what is the role of higher education institutions in this respect? How can they provide Europe's economy and also society with that high skilled workforce and talent that can take on the grand challenges of our time?
Okay, so first I'd just like to thank for the invitation to be part of this panel, and I apologize that I'm only virtually present and not physically present with our other panelists. Maybe before I answer this, I'll just give a little bit of introduction here that at the moment, Aalto University, where I work, we're involved in six of the different KICs: climate, digital, energy, raw materials, urban mobility, and manufacturing. The school that I lead, the School of Engineering, has had different activities in all of these KICs at one point or another. But primarily, we're most heavily engaged in the KICs in energy, urban mobility, and manufacturing. So, and personally, I was quite heavily engaged in the urban mobility KIC as it was kind of being launched. So the question about the skill sets, I mean, this can be answered in a very generic way, the way that probably any panel across the world would answer about how do universities provide skilled individuals. But I thought that because we're in the context of a EIT symposium or awareness day, I thought I'd try to integrate that a little bit into my answer. So of course the tasks of a university are, I think, around the world the same. We need to engage in academic research. We need to provide the highest possible level of education, which is based on that research. And then in many countries also, universities have a third function, which is to interact with society, to promote societal impact, which is based then on the research and the education. What I've observed is as we have used the different EIT KIC instruments in developing our education programs, the requirement for an EIT labeled, say, master's degree program is that there is this very strong entrepreneurial element in a program, in addition to the normally strong technical content. And this is something that I think that even better prepares graduates for being able to contribute to the society as a highly skilled worker, which is kind of the gist of the question. Because entrepreneurial mindset, as we think about it, is simply the ability to take an idea and from an idea bring it into a new product or a new service. At universities, we often are very good at teaching students to analyze something, analyze this circuit or analyze this dynamic process or doing some kind of analysis. We're probably not quite as good at helping students learn to synthesize, taking ideas from different places, synthesizing them into something new or something into a whole. But then this entrepreneurial aspect of the KIC education programs or the KIC labeled education programs, I think even takes that synthesized idea and brings it one step further to value in society by polishing it, making it somehow maybe not always ready to use, but being able to take these ideas and develop them one step further. And not all of our students are going to be entrepreneurs, but you can have an entrepreneurial mindset in working for a city. You can have an entrepreneurial mindset working for a large and very long established company. But this ability to take an idea and to distill it, synthesize, and bring it into a product or a new service. And I think that is a skill that society needs in the next generation.
Excellent. Thank you very much for your very thorough answer on this. So in this respect, I would like to mention a new initiative by the EIT that the EIT has received in its enhanced mandate for the 7-year period 21-27, and it is to increase the innovation and entrepreneurial capacity of higher education institutions. So it's a dedicated scheme that we launched actually last year. And EIT RawMaterials is the coordinating kick-off of that action. Unfortunately, we have here Lotta representing EIT RawMaterials. So Lotta, if you could just elaborate a little bit on how this initiative works, this higher education institutions initiative, in terms of capacity building, what are the main benefits for universities and how could possibly interested Latvian universities or other higher education institutions join this?
Thank you. It works. Okay, thank you. So yes, indeed, we are on the second call of HAYS. It just closed a couple of months ago. So the benefit of HAY is really indeed to improve the innovation capacity and raise the bar of universities in Europe. And the kind of core of this initiative is self-assessment. So it's a very bottom-up initiative where we have asked the universities, so what do you need to improve your innovation capacity, and find consortiums that support this kind of journey, this innovation journey or learning journey for the universities. And it's a very diverse consortium here. So in the second round we had 700 institutions applying this, and then I think there was over 50% came from Eastern European countries, so risk countries, and then also outside of the KICS communities. So it's a really kind of diverse initiative where we are aiming to boost the kind of ecosystem with new players that you don't work with your usual suspects. So we bring business there, we bring universities outside of the KIC community, and then we boost them with this kind of big KIC community. So not only will you work with EIT RawMaterials, but you will work with EIT Digital and so on. So really bring all the ecosystems that we have in the EIT world together, and it's a kind of co-creation and co-learning experience, this HAY.
So just a quick follow-up question. So if I understand correctly, this is not only for universities then, but also for businesses who would wish to work kind of more closely with universities. So they should also consider applying for such calls.
Yeah, of course, you need to have a lead in the from the university side. So it's developed for the HAYS, but the kind of eligibility criteria for this call was really to integrate with different aspects of the knowledge triangle. So we see that the university is really a societal player, but they can't do that alone. So it's to kind of break the silos that universities and businesses have.
Okay, indeed, this is very much in line with the EIT's main mandate, of course, to connect these players from the knowledge triangle. So, Milda, you had a very interesting presentation about EIT food. Of course, focused a bit on startup support, but you, I think, also mentioned at a glance some of the educational programs, the EIT Food Government Executive Academy, which mostly addresses policymakers. What I would like to learn a bit more about is how EIT Food weaves the education dimension into the innovation web. If you could mention some of the programs, educational programs of EIT Food, or some of the offerings that could be interesting for Latvian students, aspiring entrepreneurs, that would be great.
That we have education activities for students, but also for people who already on their career path, for professionals. So for students, what we see work very well when we are sending them to the internship programs. So we have this program with fellowship for students, but also for PhD students. With this program, also we are trying to attract students from different areas that maybe for them agri-food sector is not the first choice for making their career, as management, logistics, biotechnology. They are located in one of the host company as a research institute, university, business, industry, but also startups. So especially those PhD students being there for 3 up to 6 months, they are getting the knowledge on innovations, how EIT Food and their partners works on innovation, and coming back to their country, some of them, they are starting the startups, going through our programs, and also building the companies on the ground. Summer schools were very effective way when we work with students. Those summer schools are around the 6 focus area I mentioned before: aquaculture, sustainable agriculture, targeted nutrition, circular food economy. We made it last year twice edition because there was a lot of students involved. Also, we are trying to put people on the hackathon and challenge labs, which is our activity, main activity we are doing with the hubs we have in Central, East and South part of Europe. Because for us, it's also dialogue with the local companies producing food, active in agri-food sector. We are collecting the problems of the local businesses, and we are trying to find solutions, engaging students and professionals on board. I mentioned also activities for professionals here. One interesting is on new product development, how to put new product on the market. So here we are working with SMEs and the people engaged and R&D sector. So those are as the main activities. For us, it's also very important to have this online mode. MOOCs and SPOCs that are available at EIT Food website through Learn website. And also Food Unfolded portal for our dialogue and communication with consumer, educational consumer.
Excellent. Thanks a lot for this quick overview. I would have one more question, open question, also mindful of the time because we don't want to take away from the precious coffee break, definitely. And it's about brain drain. So Europe, I think, as a whole, but especially emerging innovator countries, and also in Eastern Europe, often struggle with retaining talent. So what do you think? How can the EIT community help those countries, and perhaps Latvia in particular, in this respect, to retain skilled workforce and talent in Europe, and specifically in those countries? It's an open question, so anyone who wishes to.
Perhaps I can start. So I think it all starts from the education. So for the HACE, so you have to have the strong universities to build up the strong talent, so that you don't push the talent outside already at the kind of learning phase. So you educate them locally, of course, expose them to these larger ecosystems and to kind of have exchange, but really to have strong universities in countries is really the key, that you are able to kind of then keep your own talent in. So this is one very important aspect.
I would add also, I totally agree with, with you that it's very important, but also at EIT Food, we discovered that we have to go a little bit down and also provide activities for secondary school and the kids. We have one pilot activity, Girls Go Agritech, when we are talking with the girls in the age 15, 16 years old, also showing them our sector and also encourage them to think about building career in the research or business in agri-food sector. So this is important. Also, we are preparing the pilot for the internship program for the students of vocational technical schools. Those are 18, 19 years old. So we have to also a little bit work also with young people, maybe also with kids, to show the potential of our sector.
So maybe I would just like to add, I think that you know the universities that we find in Eastern Europe and in Latvia, the education is, I would say it's really, you know, first rate. We have great students there. We have great educators. And maybe people leave because they see maybe too narrow opportunities. And I think that something like the EITs have opportunities, it offers these kind of opportunities. So if somebody has a dream of what they would like to accomplish, maybe with their idea, I think the EITs do provide some mechanisms to help people realize that, okay, I don't need to go to some other country or to some other place to help my dream materialize, but we can provide that on the spot. And I think maybe that's something that can help some as well.
Yes, I fully agree with that. This is what I have experienced as well. We are based in Budapest. That's where the EIT sort of administrative center is located. And when I talk to the universities who participate, for example, in the EIT digital program from Budapest, this is what I hear as well, that for them it is a great opportunity to be able to work with an international team, a pan-European team, with excellent universities and businesses without having to leave the country. So, you know, while they can stay in Budapest and in Hungary, if they don't have to move away from the family. So I believe that's a big plus indeed. So Milda mentioned the Girls Go Agritech. So actually, I think EIT RawMaterials can also be very proud of their similar program, which is called Girls Go Circular, has a similar objective, targets schoolgirls aged 14, 18, and equips them with digital and entrepreneurial skills, trying to build that funnel actually of STEM talents that would then go on and join universities in the STEM fields. So since we have only 4 minutes left from the allotted time, I will give the floor back to our on-site moderator. See if there are questions from the audience.
Yes, so this is time for you to switch on and switch in with your questions or comments maybe on what you've heard, and maybe there was something what was not covered, answering the question of role and possibilities of education institutions. So what is your experience in the audience? If you have something to add, it would be really valuable. Anybody? Just raise your hand, please. Yep. Can I borrow? Yeah. Thank you. Here we go.
Thank you. So the speaker from Aalto mentioned that EIT master's programs and other programs have to have a strong entrepreneurial mindset and entrepreneurial drive. The question is, how do you build that sort of culture, that sort of mindset? Because obviously by the time you get to that program, you have to be equipped with that set of interests, not just skills. So how do you build an entrepreneurial mindset in education?
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Yeah, sure. You can share the mic.
Yeah, well, perhaps I will start since the mic is on my hand, but I think one of the kind of key for this raising the entrepreneurial mind, it's really a mindset. So it's really to find and seek solutions to the problems and synthesize, as was said. So it's really key is to be exposed to different kind of things. One of the requirement is indeed entrepreneurial education, but it's also to expose to different countries, different way of working. For instance, in EIT RawMaterials master programs, you have a requirement for kind of movement, so you can't do your studies in only one country. So you have to at least go to a different country, and then again you're exposed to a little bit different views, a little bit different way of education, and also the kind of students that come to, I would say, to most of the EIT labeled programs, they come from a very diverse background. So this again opens their mind, and they are able to think a little bit differently. And one thing that is a must in, at least in the EIT RawMaterials master programs, is exposure to industry. So we facilitate kind of connection with our larger ecosystem, so the industry is able to bring their problems, and then students from a very early on their master studies are able to kind of work with real challenges.
Milda?
Yes, those challenge lab working with the challenges bringing from the local ecosystem, but also during last year, when we were closed a little bit our homes, we discovered how to work online and how to work from Latvia with my colleagues from Germany, and maybe not only we can, play the concert together from different countries, but we can set up company. Sitting from home, set up a company in Germany. We are piloting one of the program Team Up, which is like connecting researchers, people who have product, but do not have like business skills, with the partner people from business schools. So this is working very well. You mentioned also the label program. Most of them, Master of Science, the several universities of the Kick and Engage. And usually it was like that students were studying 2 years, but actually he's studying in 3 different universities. So he can start in Lund, go to the Hohenheim, then to Turin, and come back to Lund, including also summer schools. So mobility, openness, and also the courage. This is very neat, especially I working with students from our region. We need more courage and more engagement from the women's side. As you know, there's like half of people working in the food industry, they are women, but in management, the percentage is very low. So we add also leadership programs for all of us, also those professionals.
Thank you. Gary?
Yes, just for the questioner, I guess I didn't want to imply that a student needs to come into the program already with a strong entrepreneurial background. I think the only thing that the student needs is an open mind. And this mobility that Lotta and Małgorzata mentioned, the student needs to be open-minded, to be mobile, and open-minded to learn about the entrepreneurial aspects of the program. So they don't need to be entrepreneurs when they come.
System ready to bring in correct or prepared people with open mind and this drive. What are you doing for that? Because as you mentioned, it should start early, and when they come into universities, are they ready for this?
I would say that COVID put us in the mode that we were ready immediately, and I think COVID situation speed up this whole process.
For everyone?
I think, at least for my sector, but I somehow feel that for all of us.
I fully agree with you. So we have been through quite a change in the past years, how we operate, and kind of every one of us needs to be kind of self-driven these days when we work from home, when we start our workday. So we need to have this kind of entrepreneurial mind. And this is really the kind of the requirement that the students also have these days, is that they don't go to the classrooms. They need to be self-driven and self-motivated. From a very young age, and this is also one of the kind of what a lot of the education systems within different countries are aiming is to build these self-driven, self-motivated students from a very young age onwards. And of course, we mentioned the kind of Girls Go Circular. Of course, we have these targeted programs where we see that perhaps we are a little bit lacking, or we have a little bit diverse, not so diverse talent pool coming. Then we set up these targeted programs. And one thing I want to mention here is that I think that entrepreneurs or your mind always need to kind of be tested. So we have a very great initiative, the Jumpstarter, that was mentioned in my colleague's presentation. So this is really a cross-kick kind of a initiative for young idea holders to test their ideas. So it's one thing is to kind of build this talent, build their kind of mindset change, but it's very important as well to give feedback for this.
Mm-hmm. All right, the closing comments?
Just I wanted to add to Jumpstarter, this is the way that we discovered that solution for health could be applied for food, solution from digital, and we have an example from manufacturing that actually they turn to food.
But that's strange that food and health is separate.
It's very important to learn from each other, also learn from other sectors.
All right. Thank you, Gary. Thank you, Lotta, Milda, and Adam. We will have you back for discussion on industry and startups. That will come after next set of our speakers. But thank you very much. Round of applause.